Hello and welcome back to the studio. Yes, thank you very much for taking up this invitation today, and I hope you're having a good day, because I certainly am. As you can see, I've already run a test and I found 5 things. Yes, 5 things that you can mix with acrylic paint that you may not know. Yes. So some of these are all, well, most of them, and all of them, in fact, yes, they are. They're all being tried and tested and used throughout the years by all artists, okay? There's some that you may not know, and there's others that you may know. So stay with me, and let's have a look at number 1. The first one I want to introduce you to is vegetable glycerin. There we are, vegetable glycerin. This product is a natural occurring product from vegetables. That's why they call it vegetable glycerin. So, used in foodstuffs and cosmetics throughout the world, including in some paint manufacturing. Yes, it is. Not so widely used today because the side effects are that it takes a lot longer to dry and things can get a little bit sticky. But if you know what you're doing with this stuff, then you can save yourself money and be a little bit frugal. And that's what it's all about in Clive's 5 Art Studio, is saving money and helping you to paint better. Yes. Okay, so let's have a look at this one a little bit closer. Now, as you can see, the palette, I've got 2 brushes. Why, I will explain in a minute. I got my palette set out. I got 2 lots of blue, 2 lots of red, 2 lots of orange, 2 lots of green, 2 lots of Van Dyke brown, all pre-selected, and I've got 5 containers with 5 different things in. But the first one is vegetable glycerin. I don't know if you can see how runny and gloopy that is, and actually it's quite, because it's a food grade, it's quite sweet. And this is normally put into, vegetable glycerin is normally put into royal icing to make it look shiny. That's one of the uses. The other use is that you can actually thin this with water. So this is neat, but we can actually add a little bit of water to it. So we can just put a couple of drops like that, and put some water to it. And we can thin it with some water. So you can thin this down with water. There you go. So you can use it neat, or you can thin it down with water. And the less you put in, obviously, the less sticky it's going to get. But then the less of the properties you're going to get from it. And the properties are this. So I'm just dipping my brush in to that. And I'm going to mix that straight into the first lot of blue paint. Because this is vegetable glycerin and just blue paint, and the other blue paint that I've got there is going to be my control. So this is blue paint with an additive of vegetable glycerin, mixing it around. You'll notice it actually does thicken the paint a little bit, but using it neat, then that's all you're going to need is just a touch of the brush. And let's put that in place on the first section like that. There you go. So that's vegetable glycerin and blue acrylic paint. So what we need to do now is get our control. Again, another clean brush, just dampening that a little bit in water, and then we're just going to go into our blue paint. And I suggest you do this exercise. Maybe you will learn something new. As I said, varying amounts of the vegetable glycerin in water can give you different effects, but using it neat, you are going to get a very, very glossy paint, but on the sticky side, which is maybe not what you want. But we're going to let them both dry naturally there now, and then we'll come back to them in 1 second, just washing the brush. So what have we got for number 2? Okay, number 2 is this. It's a glue. It's a sealer. It's many different things. It comes in different thicknesses. This particular product dilutes 5:1. It's a very, very strong PVA or school glue adhesive, polymer vinyl adhesive. So yes, you can use this as a glaze. Yes, you can use it for glazing mediums. You can use it to add into your paint to give your paint a sheen. You can use it all in different ways. I use this to add into my wallpaper paste when I'm hanging wallpaper on the walls. I use it for sealing brickwork if I'm going to paint the walls. You can use it as a damp proofing course. There's hundreds and thousands of uses for this type of thing, including woodworking as well. So what have we got there then? Well, you can see, you should all know what school glue looks like. Let me get my brush. And it's a very white, sticky glue. There we go. Now you can thin this down as it says with water once again. So let's just put a little bit of glue in there and put a bit of water to it, and you can see that's going to actually thin down. But please remember, this is a glue. Don't let this dry in your brushes. No, you're going to have a nightmare of a job to try and get it out of there. But you can use this. You can thin it down. There we go. Thin it down. So I've got a bit of blue paint in my brush, doesn't matter. So you can thin it down and you can use that as a glaze if you wanted to. Or, as we've said, we can use it neat. So let's add a little bit of PVA glue, school glue, or whatever you want to call it, to our red paint. So I got a little bit of white PVA glue there. I'm going to mix that into our red. There we go. Mix it really well. And then we're going to apply that to our canvas, and as again you can see, it's got a glazing effect. This is going to dry quite rapid because of the glue, whereas the vegetable glycerin remains a little bit stickier. There you go. So again, this is used in all different areas, even in some paint manufacturing it's used. There you go. So we're going to let that dry, and I get my control brush. I'm just washing my brushes, and I'm just going to go straight into some plain red. There you go, straight into some plain red, and I'm going to put my control next to it. There you are. You can see that it doesn't run as smooth, so a little bit of PVA glue is going to give you a lovely, lovely effect, and a glaze also. So let's go back to this one. Yeah, that's just about dry, but look, this one is still wet. It certainly is, still wet, but it's got a glaze to it. I'm talking about glazes. Let's see if we can add a little bit of this to our paint now. That's the thinned down version of the PVA glue. And let's see if we can put a glaze over the blue. There you go. And we'll see how that dries in 1 second. So there's a glaze of colour over blue, which makes it look a bit purpley. Because red and blue does make purple. There you go. So what else can we actually mix to paint? Well, let's see what happens on number 3. And welcome back to number 3. What else can we add to our paint? Now this goes back centuries, in fact, hundreds and hundreds of years. Yes, to the oil painters when they used to mix this particular medium with pigment to give us a tempera paint. What am I talking about? I'm talking about a chicky egg. Yes, every common and garden chicky egg. Yes, not the yellow bit. Not the yellow bit, the white bit. The white is what we need. You can use the yellow for another thing. I will show that again in another lesson. But we separate the yolk from the white. And what does that give us? Well, that gives us an egg white. There you go. Egg white. Egg white. There we are. I'm not going to tip that up because it's clear. Careful with this because it will go off and, well, it can cause nasty, nasty things. So if you're going to use that, use it, discard it straight away. Don't leave it sit in the studio. But if you're going to use it, you can use it as a glaze. Yes. So let's get some egg white onto our brush like that. And let's mix that into our orange. There we go. And we'll see what we're going to end up with. Now, a tempera is exactly that. It was just a binder is egg white. And all these are binders. All these will hold things together. They're all binders basically. So it's just an egg tempera, but it's going to give you a nice, soft sheen effect. In other words, it's going to be like like an eggshell colour. You know when they say eggshell paint, when you got that effect, this is what this is going to give you. There's no eggshells in it, there's egg whites. So it could be the same, I don't know. But it's going to give you a nice satin finish to your paint. There you go. And again, don't overdo that. Never thinned it with water before, don't know how that's going to work, but I always use it neat. So let's get our control brush now, and let's just go into a little bit of water, and let's pick up our control paint. This is our neat paint straight out of the tube, as we've done with all the others, and let's put our control paint next to that. We're going to be visiting these when we finish the demonstration, but as you could see, we've got a little bit of a dull matte finish there, which is the tube board paint, and then you've got a little bit of a glaze, a little glossy finish on the PVA added. Again, tube board paint, but it's got a glaze on it. You can see the glaze shining, and this is still wet. There we are, vegetable glycerin, and sticky. So that is an old way of actually mixing an additive with paint, and vegetable glycerin has been around nearly as long as egg whites, I think. Well, not as long, obviously, not as long. So, number 4. Now, number 4 is quite a funny thing. Yes, it makes people laugh, it makes people sing, and it makes people go, oh no, I don't want to pick that up and buy it. Why? Because it's lubricating jelly. Yes, this just happens to be KY jelly, but you can buy lubricating jelly in all different forms and all different prices. This particular box cost me £4. It's basically a very, very thick water. That's all it is. It's a silica based water. Yes, this was used in things like Aliens, the movie, for special effects. When you've seen the alien and all our drool was coming down its mouth, that was this stuff. It certainly was. Made by the Garland. It was. So what are we looking at there? Well, we've got some of that in our little pot, and that is quite a sticky, slimy, viscous type of liquid, and it's quite I don't know, it doesn't smell of anything in particular, but anyway, let's add a bit of that. You can add a little bit of water to this. You can thin this down also. Yes, so bear that in mind. I'm not going to thin it down now because there's no point, but I'm going to put a little bit on my brush. There we are, a little bit on my brush, and I'm going to mix that into the grain. Now, as regards to that, it's a 50ml container, and it is quite expensive because that was nearly £4. But what does it do? Well, it does exactly the same as the others. It slows the drying time of the paint down. Why? Because, and they're all basically retarders. These are all basically retarders. You've got some natural products and some man-made products. And in regards to this one, it will dry a little bit quicker because it's water based and not glycerin based. There we go, or PVA based. So it's going to dry a little bit quicker, unlike those. And you can see it allows you to move your paint around a lot freer. So yeah, you can say it makes your paint flow a little bit easier. Again, you can add that to water if you wanted to. It's not going to hurt anything. And where's my control brush? Let's just get a little bit of water on there, and let's just put a bit of control down there like that. Now that is going to dry. It's going to dry matte. It's not going to be used as a glaze. It's water based. There's no shine to it as such. There may be a little tiny bit, but not a lot. Unlike the vegetable glycerin and the PVA glue and the egg white. Now the egg white, let's go back to the egg white, is still a bit wet. But that is going to dry to like a satin sheen, and you can see the egg white and the vegetable glycerin, which are the natural products, are remaining wet a lot longer. They are remaining wet a lot longer than the other ones. That's a good thing to think about. It is. So what we can do now to number 5. Number 5 is a cheap version of number 4. What is it that? Well, this is exactly the same as number 4, which is the KY jelly or lubricating jelly. It just happens to have a few more ingredients into it, like a little bit of food colouring. Yes, it is food colouring, and a couple of other little bits and pieces that I'm not au fait with, but I do know it's exactly the same thing, and that is hair gel. Hair gel. This particular one just happens to be ultra strong hold and control, as you can see by my hair, because I buy it. Cheaper. This is 200 mils. That is 4 times as much as the other one, which is a KY jelly, and this was £1. The maths says use this one. That's what the maths says. So what are we looking at with this? Well, you can see we've got some hair gel there, and we've all used, or maybe we've not have all used it, but most of us have come across hair gel. We all know what hair gel is. I wouldn't put this in your mouth. It is a man-made product. It smells of perfume. That's what you come to expect, because it's the same as the KY jelly. There's nothing in the KY jelly at all. This just happens to have a bit of perfume in it and a little bit of food colouring or whatever colouring they put in it. And now I got a little bit of Van Dyke brown, and I'm going to add a little bit of that to that. Now, can you thin this down with water? Yes, you can add water. Oops. Yes, you can add water to the hair gel. Of course you can. And it's going to act in the same way as the KY jelly or the lubricating jelly. But we're going to use that neat, because it's going to be a fair test. And there's Molly playing out the back now with her toys, so as you can see, or you I should say. So adding that in, and we're going to put that on our board, and you can see it's made the Van Dyke brown a little bit transparent, but that's not an issue because we can build up our paints in layers. So, but as far as flowability is concerned, it's flowing really well. Is it going to affect the paint? No, but what I will say is this: I'm not going to take responsibility for anything that I'm showing you today here. If you use this method and you paint flakes, and then I will advise you that you need to experiment and get the proportions and quantities right. There is no set format or formula to this at all. It depends where you live, humidity, and the heat. So you need to play around with these things, and you need to know if you can add something to water or not, and you need to know what quantities you're going to use. And if you paint flakes, then unfortunately I can't take responsibility for that, but I'm just showing you a way to be a little bit frugal and save you money and paint better. Yes, I am. So where's our control? We'll put our control by there. As you can see, it's not running as smooth, but each one of these products I've done exactly what I've said, and the egg white is still wet, the vegetable glycerin is still wet, that's just starting to dry, which is the KY jelly, and we know that's wet. So in conclusion, yes, you can add more things than just water, flow improver or retarder, which you buy in shops. And talking about that, please pop along to my website and check out the shop. I have got retarders, flow improvers, blending whites, acrylic clears, all the different types of mediums. Please, please, please pop along there and purchase some of them if you want to, and you'll always get a free gift. You certainly will. So thank you very much for joining me in the studio today. I hope these 5 tips have come in handy, and I hope you use them and find something that you can paint with them and them as well. So until next time, thank you very much for joining me in the studio. God bless, and I'll see you on another lesson. Bye bye.
Welcome, thanks for stopping by. It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush, have a great time. And don't forget to click subscribe.